I need to kind of knock down my door. I think that doesn't happen. Because you might want to call the police. So it's like, great. But you know what I'm saying? Like, what are you doing right now in your life and your business? Where are you not taking action? So this is going to be a conversation today, but it's also going to be an opportunity for you to use if you have a journal and start writing some things down around what some of your beliefs are, where you're blocked and where you're not showing up in your business and in your life. Because money is just an exchange of energy. And the truth is, if you are blocked financially, I bet you're blocked with your power or your voice or your authenticity. And it may also be showing up in other functions, your relationships or your physical health. Because one thing is connected to everything. Would you guys agree? Yeah. Sacred selling. Let's talk about it. Okay, so let's go back to the marriage piece when I was there. So as a result of me being in that relationship and getting really sick and not taking accountability for my internal reality and external reality of all this piece, once I started taking responsibility, I was able to transform that so super quickly. Healed 3 out of the 4 autoimmune diseases within a few months. Chronic pain went away, and I was no longer allergic to basically everything. Everything shifted the moment I shifted my internal reality and took massive inspired action. That's really the message of the day. So the first thing that we really want to look at with sacred selling is yourself. What are your belief systems around selling? Does it feel yucky? Does it feel awkward? Right? Maybe you're really good at doing sales for other companies. When it comes to your own parts and your gifts, you're like, I can't charge $100 for that. Right? I just got a message the other day from a friend of mine, and he's like, Dee, I just wanted to tell you that I'm finally charging $500 an hour for what I do. I'm like, sick, that's awesome. Whereas a few months ago, wasn't able to do that. I was really struggling with this money mentality. So first of all, I want you to turn to your neighbor, and I want you to share the first thing that comes to mind, not the trained thing that comes to mind. These are 2 different things. The first thing that comes to mind is your first thought. The trained thing is your second thought, which is usually something that you've read in books or an inspiring book that you've recently listened to, that you're telling yourself as a mantra as you look in the mirror, but it's not necessarily your reality. So what you're going to do is you're going to look at your neighbor, and you're going to say, when I think of rich people, I think, you're just going to fill in the blank. All right, 1, 2, 3, go.
Working. Q&A. Well, I do some type of Q&A. Other 10 Q&A. Yeah.
Okay, so now share here to justify what they said. Maybe a couple people. I saw some of you. Hopefully, here, what I want to hear actually, I have a belief system here that's a little funky. Okay, some honest people in here. That's it. Perfect. Are you sharing what your piece was?
So what I thought my belief system was that, oh, money is fine and it doesn't matter, just what you do with it or how you get it and stuff like that. So I thought that was gonna be my first thought, but then when I just blurted out my first thought, it was shallow. And then the other thought was my second thought.
was
Jhala.
Jhala. What
That was my first.
what was the second?
Oh, the second one was, it's fine, it just matters what you do with your money.
Okay, awesome. Thanks for sharing, Give her some.
Yes.
A lot of things go for me were these like images of like guys in tight suits with sunglasses and convertibles. So
Like you.
I've seen like things like some we asked open up my parameters more and realize longer.
Awesome, thank you. Thank you. Sure.
So I know that there's a lot of other systems, and I'm curious what yours are. So what I want to do right now is remember what that belief system is, or what that thought was, because that thought can potentially be blocking you from having more wealth in your life, right? And it's like, oh, like suits aren't bad, but I like wearing them, so I'm pretty wealthy. It's so crazy how on a subconscious level and the impact. So going back to my story, 7 years ago, abusive relationship, all the things, physical disease and all of that. I started my coaching business 5 years ago, 6 years ago. And Kieron was one of my very first coaches over here. And I remember at that time I was going through transition between my old identity to my new identity. And as shifting identities, I realized that I had a limiting belief around money because I'm a woman. And I was like, oh. And at that point in my life, I hadn't hit the six-figure mark in my business yet. And as soon as I recognized that, and I chose to believe something else, I started to practice, I started to take more inspired action. My first year of coaching, I did over 6 figures. So really, so much of it is recognizing what the belief is, choosing something else, and then also taking the inspired action, the inspired path that's going to get you there, right? So instead of the belief system that maybe you have right now around money or rich people, what would be the opposite belief system? So Tomek was sharing over here a moment ago around suits and like uncomfortable clothing and convertibles, right? I mean, you might like convertibles without long hair, so you just like, well, but that's what you're seeing, right? But for him, something could be, I can be wealthy and dress and be whoever I want to be, right? And it sounds so simple, but it's so powerful. One of the first mantras that I used to reestablish my belief system was, I'm a powerful woman and I have massive work to do in the world and I'm highly compensated. And then within that year, my business grew. My first year of business, and it's continued to grow. And so the question I have for you that I want you to think about right now is, what is a mantra or something to focus on if you are finding yourself in that arena of your old belief system? And I just want to frame something for a minute here, because our belief systems influence our actions, our habits, how people respond to us, everything, right? Is when your belief system is, money's bad, or rich people are bad, even if you're not verbalizing in this room right here, admitting it to yourself, your bank account will actually reflect that, right? So the fastest way to discover your belief system is actually to look at your results. So when you think of your finances, how are you doing? Right? When you think of your business, how are you doing? And if you're not where you want to be, it's not because of, it actually really does have to do with your underlying beliefs, right? So you can say you can preach a lot of things, but regardless, at the end of the day, your belief systems and results are the exact same thing, which is why I really do believe subconscious work and the healing work, but also to take massive inspired action. And when you take massive inspired action in your life, sometimes your belief systems change because, oh my gosh, I just landed this huge client. And oh my gosh, people are responding to me. And you become the scientist of your life. You just keep showing up day in, day out with whatever it is that you're born with, and you're collecting data, and that new data is creating a new reality, which is creating new belief systems. So finances are the same. You guys agree? Yeah, it's just in the gym, it's just like building a muscle, same thing. So going back to my trusty notes here, I need them today, is, so the first one was when I think rich people, when I think of money, I think of, and you know, I want to really share the power of doing this work. And then I'm going to share with you a few other pieces that we're going to get into around sales. Are you guys enjoying this? Yeah. So someone I was working with a few years ago, she had done a lot of business strategy stuff. She was a agent, she wrote a book, she did a lot of the work, but she wasn't shifting her financial income. And it was really frustrating. And through a session of doing work together, she realized that her money blocks actually came down to one moment in time when she was like 6 or 7 years old, where her dad yelled at her when she asked for more. Who would have thought, right? So then she had this realization that in her business, she was blocking money from coming in after a certain level because she felt shameful for wanting more. I know that's happening within your life and your business to some level. If you're continuously at the same level of finances, we feel you're blocked. There's something in the subconscious, there's something in the past that hasn't been cleared. And until it's cleared or healed or understood, then it continues to show up. I talk about trauma. I've done a TEDx on trauma, and some of it's trauma, some of our imprints, they're similar but different. The fact is, if you have a block around your finances, it's because there's something there. Maybe you're not taking the action, maybe there's something really clear. And the most important thing with finances is to not be ashamed of where you're at. There's a lot of shame, and like finances seem to be a weird topic for a lot of people, right? Do you guys agree? It's like a little uncomfortable to talk about. But the truth is, most people are struggling with their finances, right? And it's because there are traumas, there are belief systems, there are programming that's like, you can't have this. Who are you to want this? You know, being rich is bad, or, you know, and it's not true. The more resources you have, the more good you can do in the world. And you need to stop blocking yourself from having that. Do you guys agree? Yeah. Great. So the next thing that I want to talk about is, who here has one-to-one sales conversations with people in their business or would like to? Yeah? Okay, great. So one of the things that blocks people from having a bigger impact with sales, having more people say yes to their business, to their offer, is that there might be a belief system that you are taking something from someone. I'm taking your money, right? Something from them. But really, in reality, if you're clear on what your offer is, two looks like listen. You want to be my emotional support dog? Maybe I need another one. Okay. But really, what you're doing is you're giving people a gift. And the more you're out there talking about your message, talking about your work, talking about what you're doing, the more people are like, yes, thank you for this gift, right? Think of all the people in your life who have helped you overcome an obstacle to the gift. I know for me, there's no way I'd be where I am today without all the coaches and the support and the healers that I've had to help me get to my next stage level. Talking about your gifts. The next piece, you need to have a clear offer. Okay? A lot of people, especially in the spiritual space, person, you know, I'm like, oh, reading this, I can do this, you know, direction. I used to be like that when I was kind of different things. Like, the relationship is, I'll do that. Yeah, I'll make that. It's like cool a little bit, but after a while, what tends to happen is people don't really trust you, you know, because you're trying to be everything but one, and you're not going to have one area. And so you're selling because your offer, you're not covering definite needs, right? And what I get from most of my clients when I talk to is they feel like I'm like in their head or I've read their journal. You know, I'm having probably 100 testimonials and I feel like Deidre, I've read my journal. It's because I really know what's going on inside of their mind and their heart and souls. So one of the ways to be really good at sales is to get to know your client really well. And so I can't help you, but you can. She's a wild energy woman, and she can help you with all of the things. See? You know, I love energy, but that's not okay, right? So knowing what you offer and deciding it. The next thing that I see a lot of people struggle with is identity. So many people get caught up in their identity. Well, I want to be a healer. And okay, then choose to be a healer. But I want to do this. And it's like one of the things that I find so often with identity is that we get so caught up in what we call ourselves that we're like, oh, but I don't want to let that go. It's like your worth is not dictated by the title of what you call yourself or how trendy it is on the internet. You know what I mean? And so a big part of our evolution and growth has to do with letting go of the old and stepping into the new, right? Does that make sense with planning? So don't get caught up in your identity and your worth with what you're calling yourself for a living. All right. So the last piece I'm going to share with you today is want to have a clear offer that's scalable. Okay. So when you have an offer that's scalable, you're able to help a lot of people have a transformation and you're able to have more time, location, and financial freedom. And this is something I recommend if you want to create more wealth and have more capacity to do the things that you love. So with that, I help a lot of people without even one-to-one work. This is one of the things that I teach. So what I'd like to do now, we have only about 5 minutes left. I'm going to open it up for some Q&As around sales, growth, business, anything you really want to ask. What I help people do specifically is I help people who are at around 6 figures, go to multiple 6 figures, and create location and time freedom online. So yeah, I'd love to open up Q&A. Yes.
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 What's your number one channel?
Yeah, this is a really good question. So one of the main things that I do is speak on quality basis. So depending on the month and what I have going on, I typically speak on about like 5 to 6 stages a month during like my busy season, but stages and summits and podcasts are the main areas that I speak on, and it's really effective because you're able to connect with people and go deep with them. Yeah. So it's not social media because everyone's on social media, which is great, but speaking is super powerful. Great question. And that's one of the things that I teach people. Yeah.
Okay. So, in terms of finances, right, like for the how are the quality of that is like to double the sales, triple the sales, you have to give up sometimes something in your personal life or you that is deeply possible. What is that specifically and how that business and
Yeah. So what I'm hearing, and to clarify, if I'm not hearing this right, is trade-off between scaling and income versus everything else, like the balance of having what you want. So for example, I teach something called the sacred selling system, and I help people create scalable offers, smaller offers like $2,000 offers and high ticket sale offers in their coaching programs, schooling programs, and all of that. So in a 3-hour workshop, I was able to do $180,000 from a 3-hour workshop. There are people in my industry who are working way harder than I am, not making the same amount of financial income. And so it's about working smarter, having a system that works versus harder. So that's the difference. And there's a lot of people on stages that don't know how to connect their message and their business and all of those pieces. So it's about having a system that works. And also it's about knowing the type of life that you want to have and then choosing that. When I started my coaching business 5 years ago, I was like thinking about a couple days a week. So when I first started coaching business, I was only working 2 days a week because I was getting ready for like one day when I have kids. And then now I've been able to keep that up in my business 5 years later. So it's about the right smart choices versus just working hard, and that's the belief system, and then finding the right mentors to support you. Yeah, great question. Yeah. Huh?
Thank you so much. I know we have a lot of dealers that really work with narrow down this point of the year how. We can say that we'll keep that.
That's a really great question. Did everyone hear her question? Okay, so the question was, how do you help people who are multifaceted narrow down, and how did I do it? So really great question. So the first thing is, you know, when you think of Disneyland, it's the most magical place on earth. I think that's the slogan. Happiest place on earth. Okay, it's the happiest place on earth. So business is kind of like Disneyland. We have a front door of our business. Okay, so the front door is what you're known for. And once people go past that front door, you can do everything. You can throw sparkles in the air and do Reiki and do Akashic records and all of the things, right? It doesn't really matter what you do behind the scenes, but the most important thing is to know what your front door is. And so for my front door, up until probably the last year, has been turn your light on, waking up to the truth of who you are and who you're meant to be. I wrote a book on it, I have an event on it, and I have a program on it. So it's all about waking up to who you are and getting all of the things that are in the way internally of your life, right? So that was my front door. So once people go through that program and they're like, oh, like I'm getting rid of self-sabotage, I'm understanding the traumas and the things and they're no longer waiting for, I want to do this. Then they'll join my business accelerator where I help them create a 6-figure and beyond business to accelerate that. So really it's about knowing the first step and then going all in on really defining that front door. And usually it's the thing that you're most excited about, right? If you're not excited about it, why are you doing it? You know, in my business, I use Akashic records. I'm an intuitive, I'm an oracle. I've studied with shamans for over a decade. I'm super out there. But, you know, my focus is business. I see things in people, I see where they're meant to go, and I help them get there, right? But it just depends on the front door. So it's similar through conversation, just being like, that's it. And then this is stage 1, this is stage 2, this is stage 3. And you can be everything once people go through the door. It's like, choose your own adventure, Disneyland. Yeah. One last question? Yeah?
Why are you so
Wow.
First time?
Waiting so long for this. Are you going to be done on me? Any last questions before we wrap? No? All right. Well, it's been so great connecting. Thank you for being here and being a part of this. I have a sheet over here that I'm going to pass around if you're interested in connecting and learning more about sacred selling systems, how to really work less, make more, make bigger impact, and experience the world. I'd love to connect with you and share how you can do that. And thanks so much for having me, guys.